white, 8-inch on the left, and the plates. All right, silhouette.
A while back I was interested in trying out some new compact carry guns, and I asked viewers if I should get the H&K VP9SK or the CZP-10S. The comments to that request were pretty evenly split, favoring both guns, except I couldn't find a VP9SK at the time. I did find the P10S, so that's what we got, and did a review on that here a while back. I'll post the link to that up here. But I finally did find the VP9SK, and we're going to take a quick look at it. I want to welcome you to Riders Range. Thanks for dropping in while we take a look at the VP9SK. Recently I was returning from Colorado and passed through Indiana, and as I have a tendency to do, I stopped into a couple different gun shops, one of which was Marksman Shooting Sports in Westfield, Indiana. I've stopped there in the past, and I've had conversations with the owner, Chris, and also with Randy, the manager. And as I was talking to him this time, I was looking in the case, and lo and behold, they had the VP9SK LE edition, which means night sights and 3 magazines instead of 2, and it wasn't marked up above MSRP. Gotta love Marksman Shooting Sports for keeping their firearms at MSRP. So I got a hold of my FFL back here in Michigan, Ann Arbor Arms, and they sent their copy of the FFL down to Marksman Shooting Sports that afternoon, and 2 days later the gun showed up at Ann Arbor Arms, and here it is. We managed to get it out for some first shots. We'll roll that footage in here in just a little bit. But if you follow this channel at all, you know that I also, in the interim, had picked up a P30SK, figuring that since I couldn't get the VP9, that the P30 would be pretty similar. Did a review on that. Again, a quick look. I'll post that one up here also. And figured that, well, these are virtually identical guns. And turns out that that's not quite the case. So we're not going to do an in-depth review of either of these guns today, but at some point we will do a good side-by-side comparison with the two. But I will go over some of the differences between the VP9SK and the P30SK. By the way, both of these guns are empties. And you can see they do have the European-style mag releases on them, which, by the way, I like. I know that they haven't caught on real well here in the United States, but I really do like them. And again, they're comparable guns. I figured that really, except for the LEM trigger on the P30, that these are going to be the same. However, they are not. A couple of things. Of course, the P30 has luminescent sights, whereas the VP9SK Law Enforcement Edition has actual night sights on it. Of course, there's a hammer on the P30, whereas there's a striker on the VP9. But I figured everything else is the same. Turns out they're, like I say, they're really not. The barrel length on the P30 is 3.27 inches. Barrel length on the VP9SK is 3.39. You can see that it's just a little bit different. I don't know why they made it different, but they did. And there's also a slight difference in weights, too. The P30 with 10 rounds, by the way, these come with 10 round magazines. So with 10 rounds for the mag plus 1 more for the chamber, 124 grain 9mm ammo. P30 comes out to 29.8 ounces. The VP9SK comes out to 29.3. So they are relatively close there. The triggers are a little bit different. Of course, you've got the double action law enforcement trigger on the P30, and that comes out at 4 pounds 4 ounces, which is really amazing. I don't think I mentioned the actual trigger pull weight in the first video on that. 3 pounds 7 ounces for the trigger on the VP9SK. Of course, again, this is a striker fire. It does have the drop safety tab on the trigger. You don't need that on the P30, but there's also a slight difference in the length of the trigger guard. And you put them side by side, and you can see the trigger guard is actually longer on the VP9SK than it is on the P30, which made for an interesting lack of compatibility for holsters. We got these holsters from Muddy River Tactical. I did a review on Muddy River holsters. I'll post that up here also. Like their quick ship options and the good fit and finish on these, so I really like their holsters. But had the holsters for the P30. Works really, really nice for the P30, so I figured, no big deal. VP9SK will fit right in, and the answer is no, it doesn't. It'll go in, I can force it in, but it doesn't lock in on the trigger guard. And again, slightly longer barrel makes just a little bit of a difference, but again, the trigger guard length and shape makes a difference on that. So I got a hold of Muddy River and got on the website, ordered another holster for the VP9SK. We'll see how that goes. Let's see, these are both ambidextrous pistols. You have ambidextrous slide stop levers on both, but they are different shape. Takedown is obviously a little bit different on them. The grips are also a little bit different. These come with different back straps as well as different side panels, which is really nice to be able to change the width of the grip as well as the length. Texture is just a little bit different, with a little bit slightly more aggressive texture on the P30 than it is on the VP9SK. But again, you can see the side panels are ever so slightly different. They do not interchange. So there's not a whole lot of interchangeability between these two guns, except the magazines, and they both come with 10-round magazines. They also come, at least the P30 came with a 10-round flush fit magazine. The only difference between the two, of course, is having the pinky rest, but they're still 10 rounds. You can also get the, this is a 13-round extended magazine that works quite well, actually, with either gun. And you can even use the 15 and 17-round magazines out of the VP9 with a sleeve on them. And surprisingly, they actually shot about the same. I did do a quick plate run with both the VP9SK and the P30 with the LEM trigger. Times on the plates, although I didn't run the timer on them, they seem to be pretty consistent. Accuracy was fairly consistent, although I did do a little bit better in general with the P30SK than I did with the VP9SK, which kind of surprised me. Silver gong, should be no big deal. 12-inch, high right, white green center. There we go. 12-inch. That was 16-inch rather. How about the 12-inch below it? White with a, what's it, red center? There we go. 10-inch. White with a black center, high left. There we go. 8-inch, white with the red center below that. Okay. Let's try for the 6. White one right next to the silver gong. See if I can hit the gong instead of the 6. Probably help if I had a round in it. Didn't hold back on the last one. My thumb is riding that slide stop lever. Alright, I'm happy with that. Triggers, I don't think we did mention very briefly the weight on that. Of course, the trigger on the VP9SK take up once the you defeat the internal safeties on that, just a slightest amount of creep and a very clean, crisp brake, and relatively short reset. And again, a good functioning trigger on the VP9SK at 3 pounds 7 ounces. The LEM trigger on the P30, you got a longer throw with the that's actually working the hammer, but again, 4 pounds 4 ounces for this one. And then you get to the wall and you got just a little bit of travel through the wall, not much. And then as you release the trigger, the hammer comes forward. If you release it just to the reset, it doesn't go forward much at all, but you still have quite a bit of take up, which you didn't have in the VP9SK. But again, very nice trigger at 4 pounds 4 ounces. And of course you can let this go all the way. and you can also work at double action, which is a much heavier trigger pull. So similar guns, but also dissimilar in a lot of ways. Definitely struggled a little bit with the VP9SK at 50 yards, and other than that, it's a nice gun. Oh, and one thing I didn't mention, it does have cocking ears on the back here, which is typical of the VP9 line. These do aid a little bit in grasping that slide without just worrying about the slide serrations. Again, a nice feature to get a hold of that. Don't have those on the P30, but it's still, the cocking serrations still do work well. The cocking serrations on the rear of the P30 are just slightly rounded or slightly curved, whereas they're straight on the VP9SK. Both have forward cocking serrations, but they're more aggressive on the VP9 than on the P30. So again, differences between the two, many more than I thought. Both have external extractors with a red show mark on them to show a loaded chamber indicator. Other than that, I like them both. Question is, which one am I going to like more? I don't know. So again, we did some quick shooting with the VP9SK, and if you go back and look at that P30SK video, you see the shooting we did with that one. And at some point, we'll probably do a more in-depth review comparing the two guns again. But that's just a quick look at it right now, and hopefully it was a quick look. And I want to thank you for stopping into Riders Range.